man, I messed that up. Strategic back again. Hey, what's going on, guys? I know we got a late live today, much later than we usually do. But a few things have been going on. Number one, today I was busy as hell trying to build out this studio. We had a couple of setbacks, and I spoke about that in a video that I posted on my channel. The other thing is that I saw this video. I saw this news article on the shooting that happened out in Minneapolis. And my spirit said I had to speak on this, man. I could not let this wait until tomorrow. I had to talk about what I witnessed with my own eyes and the information that I was able to develop on this case. Now, I'm not breaking any news. We're going to talk about what's readily available out there. But I think this is a story that needs to be told. And I think what this lady did earnestly from her heart, from her experience, from her trauma, is call out the hypocrisy of BLM, the farce that it has morphed into. And I don't want anybody who's popping on the show for the first time to think, oh, here's another black man who's self-hating, who doesn't like BLM. Like I say all the time, I started out liking BLM. I thought to myself, how could I not possibly like the slogan Black Lives Matter? I mean, that benefits me, benefits my children, benefits my loved ones. It benefits everybody. But I'm a person that likes to live in reality and logic. And once I realized exactly what this organization's true mission was, I knew at that point I had to step back. I had to live in my truth, in my own personal sense of justice, my own personal sense of pride and honor. And by living in that truth, there's no way I could have support that organization. And we see that this organization, after it's been exposed basically for being a fraud, they're doing any and everything to stay relevant. And one of the things they're doing is supporting people and causes that do not deserve to be supported. And I dare say that this shooting that happened in Minneapolis with Mr. Andrew Tekle Sundberg is one of those instances where they should not be supporting this young man based off of what he did. And we're going to get into this because you know what? Mr. Tekle might have been mentally ill. It's definitely a possibility that was the case, and his actions certainly prove it. But we got to ask ourselves as a society, is your mental illness more important than my personal safety? When your mental illness turns violent, and we now have to choose between your life and my life, the person who is not offending anybody, the person who's not a danger to anybody, we have to ask ourselves, where do we draw the line? Where does the personal safety of a single mother of two kids below the age of 5, when does her safety and her children's safety trump the safety of a man named Andrew Tekle Sundberg? Now, we got Mike the Dad Crosby in the building, and he brought something up that's very important. He said there's a GoFundMe for the mother, and he wants me to post it if I can. I do have that up here, and I want to bring that up for you guys. This is the GoFundMe for the mother. Her name is Help a Single Mother and Gun Violence Survivor. And I want to tell you, I'll just read it for you because, and I'll fill in the holes when I finish reading this as to the things that I've heard. Okay. So, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to tell you. I don't like reading people's stuff. I say my own thing. So, Miss Arabella Foss-Yarbrough, rumors on the internet is that she's a Latina, but she might also be Italian. I'm not sure, but I've heard both things, that she might be white, that she might be Latino. She has biracial children. The father of her children is an African-American male. Why is this relevant? Why do we live in a country and in a society that one has to say that? You want to know why? Because we're polarized. Because we've created a society where it's us against them, black versus white. So when you have these situations where you have a black man who's killed by police, you have to preface what you say. You have to give authority. You have to say, well, she has an excuse to be a victim because her children were black. Forget about it. Just any average citizen who has a right not to be shot at, like she was. In order to gain maximum sympathy, we have to say that there were minorities inside of her residence as well who were also a victim of that gun violence. Well, guess what? She has had run ins with Mr. Telke. Run ins that made her believe this guy's got something wrong with him. One of those run ins resulted in them arguing over a dryer. He would then start to stalk her. He would watch her movements, constantly accost her when she leaves her home. He even defaced her car by scratching it up. That's what Mr. Telke did. On this fateful night, on July 14th, 2022, this young lady was cooking food for her two children, ages 4 and 2 years old, both under 5 years old, 4 and 2 years old. While she's cooking food, a bullet comes through her window. Through her wall. She doesn't even know it's a bullet. And then she has another one. Then she realized that Mr. Telke is not shooting at the upstairs neighbor. He's not shooting the neighbor on the other side of his apartment. He's not shooting at the neighbors across from the apartment. Mr. Telke is specifically targeting this woman and her children. He has a beef with her. He wants to kill her. Mr. Telke starts shooting at her. But the way that the apartments is situated, they're like alongside of each other. So as she's running through the house to take cover, grab her children, and try to hide, he can hear her going in other rooms. Mr. Telke is following her alongside their shared wall and shooting into every room he believes she's in, including the bathroom. His bathroom is her bathroom. He went into his bathroom because he heard her in there hiding and shot through the wall to try and kill this woman. This woman called the cops like any citizen would do in this circumstance because we don't have the training, the equipment to defend ourselves in that situation. Even if you have a gun, it's like the OK Corral. He shoots through your wall, you shoot through his wall. You want to get the professionals, they're the pros. They call the cops, and let me show you what happened as a result of them calling the cops. All right, real quick. A lady's in the building. What up, A lady? She says she picked the winner. A lady, this lady did not ever date Telke. They never had a relationship. This is somebody that just lives on her floor. That's her neighbor. That for some reason was targeting her to have beef with her, would harass her over stupid things like if she's using the dryer and why she's hogging the dryer. And then he started stalking her and he started scratching up her car and playing his music loud. This is not a domestic violence case. This is a case of a psychopathic, unhinged neighbor. Let's keep going. Now, in this video that you're watching right now, his parents were called in. This was a 6-hour standoff, ladies and gentlemen. His parents were called in, and his parents had the opportunity to try and talk him down into cooperating to no avail, ladies and gentlemen. Let's listen. Wow. There you go.
Andrew Tekle Sundberg, this is the police department. We're outside of 904 21st Avenue South. We need you to pick up the phone when we call inside. Tekle, this is your dad again.
It's his father.
I know you love me. Please talk to the negotiators. You really gotta talk to them. Please do it. Me. Thanks.
Now, this is a video from Twitter. You may not be able to hear it well. Thank God it has the subtitles, but you can see that both the police spoke to him and his parents spoke to him. Now, at some point during this negotiation, the police had to use deadly physical force on this guy. Now, we got to see the investigation to see what he do. Did he have a gun? Whatever. They shot him allegedly when he was hanging outside the window. I don't think he fell down. I think he fell back into the apartment. They also found non-lethal weapon cartridges outside of the apartment, as though the police tried to shoot him with non-lethal to get a hold of him. Now, I want you to listen to what the parents had to say about his shooting after he's dead. Let's listen.
He was in a mental health crisis. He needed help.
Cindy Sundberg's son, Tekle, was fatally shot by Minneapolis Police on her birthday. Tekle died Thursday morning around 4:30 following a 6-hour standoff at his South Minneapolis apartment.
The police are portraying it, and the mayor is portraying it like we collaborated and the police were all kind and loving to our family as they tried to help Tekle. That is a lie. They were not.
Mark and Cindy adopted Tekle from Ethiopia when he was 4. He was raised alongside 8 siblings. The Sundbergs say they believe if it were one of their biological children having a mental health crisis, the outcome would be different.
Everyone knows, had it been a white person in that building, they would have talked him out. They would have waited. People who go in and shoot massive amounts of people are arrested safely and alive if they're white. If they're not white, we know the outcome. They're dead. They're dead. It's all about color. It's all about the lack of value of the humanity of a black.
This is so disgusting. This is so disgusting to hear this woman talk like this. This is so disgusting because it just contorts the reality of what really happened. It doesn't matter how nice Tekle was throughout his life. On this particular night, Tekle decided he wanted to try and kill his neighbor. This is Tekle. This is the nice guy that she's talking about. This is the guy who decided to shoot through his neighbor's wall, his neighbor, who's a 20-something-year-old woman with 2 children under the age of 5, 4, and 2 years old. This is Tekle. He knew that she was standing on the other side of the wall. That's why he tried to kill her. He knew that she lived with little kids. He knew that at that time of the night, only her and those 2 kids were in that house. He chose to use those weapons and an extended magazine to try and kill that woman. That woman who's a mother of black children. There were black children in that house next door. That apartment right next door, sharing a wall to his apartment. And Tekle didn't give a damn about the people over there. But we're supposed to believe that the only reason why he's dead is because he's a black man. Not for the fact that he is shooting through a door trying to kill this woman. So listen, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I just got to play some of what this woman had to say. Now, we got a short version and we got a long version. I'm going to leave it up to you guys in the chat. What version you guys want to listen to? You guys want me to play the long version where she's interrupting these guys and going ham on them? You want to play the abbreviated version where she kind of gets to the point? But she's getting through the point the whole thing. It's just one section tells you what she's saying. The other section has her saying it and really driving a point home. What do you guys want to do? Long version or the short version? It's taking you too long. We're going to jump into the long version. We're going to always do the short version. Let's see here.
We're learning more about the police shooting that killed a man and the 911.
This is it right here.
Life, demand justice, and we're demanding the release of the body cam footage.
All right, so just to give you some context, right? This guy, he's talking about, his social justice bullshit, right? She's saying, what about me? And this is one of those rare moments where a victim actually spoke up instead of remaining silent. Because usually the victim stays silent because they don't want to be a target. by these militant folks. Some of these folks are very militant. Some of these folks aren't. There were people in this crowd when she's going to be talking that you could tell they kind of listen to her and they're swaying and they're getting swayed to her side. And even the ones who aren't swayed to her side, there are people in that crowd that's like, yo, listen, she had a traumatizing experience. Leave her alone. But then you have people in the crowd saying, shut up. You have people in the crowd telling her, yeah, he shot through your kitchen, but he didn't shoot you. You had people who are totally disregarding the fact that this woman almost lost her life. And so because there are people like that that exist that are so militant that they don't give a damn about victims. Most victims remain silent. But for one of the first times, we have a victim actually come forward and interrupt these guys and confront them with her victimhood. And for the most part, they don't know what to do. They're lost. Their normal talking points don't exist because at this moment, they're staring at the face of somebody who almost died at the hands of the man that they're currently trying to hold in reverence. So let's keep going. Let's see. And sorry to stop it one last time. She says she's a woman of color. So now it's official. She's not white. She's a Latina or somebody of mixed race who's a minority. Let's keep going.
Yes, ma'am.
If you can't hear it, she said, why aren't you doing this stuff for me? If I would have died, would he have been a bad guy then? Why is he not a bad guy now? So if you can't hear it, that's what she says. And let's keep going. And look at this brute. Look at this guy right here. Look at this guy. He want to go.
Just to respect life, any life.
He want to go fight a woman who almost was just shot to death. He want to fight a woman that was dodging dozens of bullets flying through her wall. He want to slap his hand and scream at a woman who almost lost her life. These are the people who we supposed to hold in reverence. These are the people who are supposed to be freedom fighters for the weak. This is a poor, struggling woman who was just fired from a job. She was just terminated from a job. Who can't even get into her home because it's a crime scene. And this guy wants to slap his hands and get in her face, even though she almost lost her life. And he has no physical, familial, or blood connection to Andrew Tekle Sundberg. He doesn't even know the guy until he heard about him on the news. These are the folks that come to these rallies. These folks are mentally ill. Let's keep going.
We're glad that we're not condoning.
Oh, sorry.
We're not condoning anything, but we just want full
Sorry.
police. We want accountability.
Look at this. This is the dude I was talking about. Look, wow. Oh, okay, he's a interesting character.
We're not condoning any behavior whatsoever. We're not. If he was shooting, doing something, or putting people in harm's way, we're not condoning that at all. But we're just saying we want the same treatment for us as they give white people. We want the same treatment for Tekle as the.
You know what kills me about these activists? They think that every single mass shooter event, you could create a strategy for it that they all end with the same outcome. We look at the Buffalo shooter, the white supremacist Buffalo shooter. That guy came out and surrendered. So what the police were supposed to do? Slaughter him with his hands up? You look at what happened in Uvalde. When the police bust through the door, he shot at the cops. They killed him. What were they supposed to do? Not fire back and just bun rush him with the shields and hope that his calibers wouldn't go through the shield and take him alive? You can't predict these things. Each situation is a unique occurrence. It kills me how these activists believe that some way, somehow, the police can somehow stop these mad and crazed people and take them alive, even though they're doing everything that puts the police in a position to defend themselves with guns and possibly take their life. Let's keep going.
The person that they gave in Faribault, Minnesota, that they gave to Dylan Brooks, that's all we're asking for. And I'm glad that, you know, we're alive today to stand out here and demand accountability. Nobody deserves to die.
What is wrong with this guy? See, this is why we need men in this world. Like, sweetheart, this is why you need a father of your children in your life. Because if this is my woman and she is venting her frustration over almost losing her life, and I'm sitting there dealing with the fact that my children almost got shot by that madman, and this bozo right here, this dude, I'm trying to scroll back and get this guy on the screen. This bozo right here in a black shirt is getting in her face. You better believe Strategic Eyes would have put that guy on the pavement and let him eat dirt. This is a grown man. This is a woman talking about her trauma. Why is this grown man deciding that it's his duty over all these people who are out there? Why does he feel it's his duty to get into that woman's face and try and scream her down? Now, I got my opinions about this guy, but I'm going to keep those opinions to myself because I don't want to say nothing crazy. It might bite me in my ass. But only a dude like this would think it's okay to go scream in that woman's face, even though she is experiencing trauma and she's suffering and she's dealing with the fact that her and her children were almost killed mere hours prior to this rally. Let's keep going.
To stand out here, nobody deserves to die.
Police can't be judge, jury, and executioner.
Exactly. The police are supposed to make an arrest and hold people accountable for their crimes.
At least his sister right here is trying to talk some sense in this guy. Like, yo, what are you doing? Don't go over there. Leave that lady alone.
He should have been arrested and convicted, and charged and convicted. It's not the police's job to execute people. We don't have the death penalty in Minnesota. Again, we're not excusing anything that happened.
First of all, they need a new producer. They need a new cameraman. If this lady's over here saying the things she's saying, they should have immediately went over to her and get her on mic and get her on camera. That woman is screaming from her gut. That's not putting on a show. This is real trauma, real pain this lady's feeling. She just said, my black children are in the car right now. She disarmed them because they can't say anything. Number one, she's a minority. Number two, she has biracial children.
Right here, I haven't gotten a chance to pray. Yes, you have for 3 fucking days.
3 days? I ain't never gonna see him again. What you
None of you guys came here to check on that man. None of you guys, I worked for 2 years. None of you guys came to check on that man to see if he was okay. This is my car. My kids are in the car. I'm Arabella Foss-Yarbrough.
Damn, she got a long name.
And none of these people checked on that man to see if he was okay. If he had a mental illness, where was the love and support when he was alive? Can I tell you why?
Yo, but this is the thing, right? This lady is grieving. She's upset. She wants them to get the hell out of here. This lady right here represents the family or whatever. And well, you'll see the interaction, but all these people are just all trashy people, man. Not her. She's a hero. She's an American hero. because she single-handedly disarmed a BLM march over a murder. No, well, not a murder, but a criminal, a dude who tried to kill a woman and children. Before I let it continue, I want to just plant it in your brain, because we got some people pop in the stream, pop off the stream. They don't know what the hell is going on. This guy purposely tried to shoot her and her 2 children, ages 5 and 4. Once again, this man purposely tried to kill her. He had disputes with her. He stalked her. He threatened her in the past. He heard her. Their neighbors, they share a common wall along the length of their apartment. He heard her in the kitchen cooking food. He knew she was in the kitchen, so he shot through the kitchen wall to try and kill her. As she ran to the back of the house, he would follow her, shooting through the wall to try and kill her. As she went into the bathroom to try and hide in the bathroom, he shot multiple times through the bathroom to try and kill her. This was not a hero. I say hero because I read somebody's comment. This is not an accident. This is not happenstance. This was a targeted shooting to try and murder his next door neighbor, who he never had a relationship. It's not domestic violence. He didn't have a one-night stand with her and he's mad. These people were just neighbors, and he hated her for whatever reason, stalked her, vandalized her car. And you know what she said? And I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it, because we're not going to be here for 5 hours. But I'm just going to tell you what she said in one of the videos. You can find it on your own. She said the reason why she never called the cops is because she felt he was a mentally ill person, and she didn't want to put a mentally ill black man in the purview of police, and then he may die from police brutality. So she endured stalking because she's too busy getting indoctrinated with the bullshit that we have going on in this country, that cops just want to kill black people, and especially mentally ill black people. This is Minneapolis. This is the center of it all. This is George Floyd country. She never called the cops on this guy. She never got an order of protection. She never put him on paper. She just endured his abuse, his harassment, and his stalking. And what did it get her? Did it get her him just forgetting about her and just squashing the beef and going about their business? She even said that she had a conversation with him in a laundry room where she thought that they had squashed their beef, where she spoke about the things he was doing. She forgave him for it. She tried to move past their impasse together. And she thought that the beef was over. And what did she get for her patience? What did she get for her extension of goodwill to this man? She got him trying to kill her, following her through the walls, shooting at her every movement until the cops came. And I want to tell you one more thing, because there's so many different articles. I don't know if I'm going to cover them all. Now, I'm definitely going to play out this part, but I don't know if I'll cover all the other interviews and stuff. It's just so many. We'll be here for like 4 hours, so I'm going to paraphrase it. She speaks about how she had to dodge bullets to open the door for police so that they could come in and rescue her children. She showed the bullet-riddled door that she has, that this guy shot up. You know what? Let's let it play out, and I'm going to get that. First of all, we got Parkitus. Appreciate you. Got $10 from, is that AUD? Is that Australia? That's awesome. He said, keep up the good job. I'm watching from Australia. I appreciate you. He said it was from Australia. I'm a worldly guy. I know these things. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. And big shout out to A-Lady. The last live I did, she sent me a $20 super chat. I don't know what the super chat said, because once I stop the live stream, Google doesn't show me. It takes actually like a week before Google will show me the comments that were in that live stream. It'll only show you within that week, the comments that people put on your video when they watch it after the live is over. The bottom line is, a lady sent a $20 super chat the last live, and I didn't see it. I didn't read it out, and I apologize, because you guys know that I take this super chat stuff very seriously. If you send me a super chat, I put you on Front Street. I advertise what you say, because you guys are what keep this show going. So big shout out to Parkitus from Australia with his super chat that he showed us. And big shout out to A Lady for the super chat that she sent last time that I unfortunately did not notice and did not read out. All right, let's keep going. I'm gonna let this play, and while this is playing, I'm gonna try and find the bullet holes that this guy put all over this lady's apartment.
No, I want to get my items. I want to get my. He was here. People in this unit know what type of actions he did every day. I'm not saying he was a bad guy. I wish this never happened. He had 6 hours to be alive or be dead. It's true. He shot through my kitchen. He was in the hallway, heard me running the water while I was cooking for my kids. I just came home from holiday at 8:37 p.m. You guys have any?
Yeah, I want to just say something. These people, they don't give a damn about you. Like, this lady is telling her story. Yes, she's screaming. She's giving you facts you didn't have. And this woman right here just wants to be heard. She just wants to be heard. She doesn't give a damn about this lady's trauma. She just wants to say her mumble bumble bullshit that has nothing to do with nothing because she wasn't there. She didn't live anything. She was not there. But she wants to shut this lady up so she could tell, oh, you know what? Oh, you know what? Oh, we're here because, and you know what the funny thing is, guys? The parents and these activists, what they want to do, their answer to this lady, and they're going to give this answer in later interviews. And the parents is going to throw all these activists under the bus. All right. And I'm going to play that for you. I'm going to tell you what they're going to say, but I'm going to play it for you. But first of all, what the parents and the activists are trying to do, they're trying to separate this circumstance. They're trying to say what happened to this woman is tragic. And her kids. Let me not leave that out. What happened to this woman and her kids is tragic. And he should have been held accountable for that. But what happened to him getting shot by police is totally separate. They have nothing to do with each other. The mental gymnastics that one must go through in order to make that make sense is mind-blowing to me. How can you tell us to separate his actions of trying to murder this woman and her children, of it not influencing the police's decision to use deadly force on him 6 hours after him being barricaded and trying to negotiate with him and bringing his parents and bringing his friends and bringing pastors and bringing everybody to speak to this guy. And he was just not cooperating. And then he does something that makes them feel that their life is in danger or other people's lives are in danger. And then they use deadly force on him. How can you do it? I don't know. And lastly, number two, how did the parents throw these activists under the bus? It's because in the interview I'm going to show you in a little bit, they say, we had no idea that this woman lived here. If we knew that this woman lived here, we would not have agreed to come to this rally because the last thing we'd want to do is traumatize this woman further from what she went through. We're hurt because our son died, but we also recognize this woman's pain. So it shows you like, but those BLM folks don't give a damn. They don't care about her trauma. But even the parents who adopted this guy at 4 years old from Ethiopia, raised him, and I believe loved him, even they have the class to say that it's inappropriate to argue with this woman. It's inappropriate to be at her residence. She has no choice but to be there because her apartment is a crime scene and they won't let her remove one single item. She can't remove a panty. She can't remove a diaper. She can't remove a bottle of water. Her apartment is closed off as a crime scene. And even the parents of this slain young man understand that it's classless to scream in this woman's face and disregard her pain, even though she literally just had a near-death experience from the hands of Mr. Tekle. All right, let's keep going.
Yes, he rolled on my car, and I checked him for it, and he got upset about it. And I seen him in the laundry room a month later. He asked me if I was using the dryers. I told him no. After that, it was I
What the fuck is she talking about? She said she's lived in an apartment building and I know it could be annoying. What are you talking about? What are you fucking talking about? Tell this lady you were in the same situation where you was minding your business and somebody shot at you. And now we could talk about you understand what this lady's going through. Well, let's keep going. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to keep stopping it. This is too much for me. I'm getting so passionate about this.
I understand. I feel for her. Listen, I am a mother, and I've been all night talking to the family.
You're a mother. What's this got to do with anything?
Telling the family that also we don't want to leave her hanging because she was her and her kids were traumatized. We know that. I'm licensed to carry. No. If I would have shot him back, would I would have been a suspect?
Uh-oh.
Would you guys hear from my side? Would you
Uh-oh.
even care? You asked on your social media, you said if you died, would we care? Would we rally? No, you wouldn't. Not like this. No, the fuck you wouldn't have. No, you wouldn't.
She makes a good point. She makes a good point.
You guys did not check on that man. He sat in that apartment every day by himself. Can I please speak? Why did they care when he was here?
No, this is not for you to speak. This is not your forum. You're not the victim. No, you can't talk about nothing. Go home.
Tekle was not left. Can I just start over? It's not okay. I don't want to scream over her, and I don't want anybody to shame her. I'm sorry. I'm upset, and I'm sorry it had to come this way. And the fact that I'm even apologizing for this shows you that I'm hurt.
That's her bathroom.
All around. I shouldn't even be apologizing, but I'm sorry. I'm expressing my anger. But all I know is for 3 years I lived here, and none of you guys knocked on that man's door to see if he was okay. Not at all. He played loud music every day to cope with his mindset. There was casings in the hallway. The shot went through my door to the pillar to the kitchen. I was cooking food for my kids. He shouldn't know. It doesn't matter. He shouldn't have been dead. Y'all should have came and helped him when he was alive. Now I can't get my shit because all you guys want to be here. My kids have to see you guys celebrate a man's life that tried to kill him.
Uh-oh. Facts.
That man was hard. George Floyd was not hard. So he deserves to get killed. So he deserves to get killed. No, but he had a choice. That's what we're talking about. He had a choice.
Look at that. Now they're getting frustrated, so now they want to scream at her. This is the problem. Supporting these goddamn perps, man. Here's a victim that needs your support. Sit her down. Explain to her. Say the words. Say what he did was wrong. Say the words. Say what he did was wrong. We're not here to support what he did. We just have questions on whether he should have been shot. But nobody wants to explain that to her. They want to sit her down and shut her up. And this woman will not be shut up, and I respect her for it. Let's keep going.
You had a choice. You had 6 hours.
Somebody said a good question.
Casings in the hallway.
Good question. Why are these people attacking the victim? Let me go up here, make sure I didn't miss anything. Real quick, we'll just check on some of these comments. And then I want to play what the family had to say. Gmail account says the police don't care about or help women being stalked or harassed by a male neighbor. Chances are they would have accused her of being mentally ill and paranoid. I hope not, Gmail, but you know that town better than me. She says the activists here who show up to everything do it to make speeches and film themselves and put it on YouTube looking important. I agree with that 1,000%. Regular Degler, who's popping Regular Degler, appreciate you coming through, says, nope, all they care about is the agenda. It's a midterm year, so these activists have a lot of work ahead of themselves. Amen. Fair-mongering for votes. What's new? Scrappy's in the building. What up, Scrappy? Scrappy said, was shot at. Officer looked at the door perplexed. The hallway was about 5 foot wide. I was surprised too. Bloody as hell too. Oh, I think you talking about something else, Scrappy, and I just jumped in and like hijacked your thread. My fault, buddy. We got the Alabaster in the building. What up, kid? Appreciate you for coming through supporting the Strategic Eyes show. He said he was an active shooter. They treated him accordingly. I agree too. You don't have to kill people to be an active shooter. If you're an active shooter and you in a mall shooting at people and you miss, you're still an active shooter. This is what we wanted the cops to do in Uvalde. These cops made the same mistake the Uvalde people did. They negotiated with this guy for 6 hours. They gave him 6 hours. She made a good point. She said, I had 5 minutes to live. She said, I had five. She said, I have 2 to 5 minutes to try and live. He had 6 hours. And she's not lying. She had 2 to 5 minutes of him shooting at her calling the cops, dodging bullets to open the door for the police so that they can help her and her kids get out of that apartment. 2 to 5 minutes this lady had to make split-second decisions to live for the rest of her life and save her children in the process. This guy had 6 hours, 6 freaking hours to make a good choice to save his life. He chose other. Whose fault is that? Is everything society's fault? Is everything all of our fault? Is everything policing fault? Is everything white people's fault? Is everything everybody else's fault but the individual? At what point does it become an individual's choices? Whether mentally ill or not, this guy is mentally ill, and unfortunately, his deranged choices gave the cops no choice but to do X, Y, and Z. What's so wrong with saying that? What's so wrong with saying the lessons are what can we do to save people who are mentally ill from hurting themselves in this manner? Why does it just have to be the cops' fault? I don't know. Let's keep going. Gmail account is back in the building. She's killing it today. She says, yeah, this was within 1 mile of me. Wow, this is close to home. Looks like it was by the freeway, according to the silence wall. Behind them, those walls block freeway noise. Yeah, they do have that everywhere in America. And wow, that development is right next to the goddamn freeway. Very interesting. I would not want to live there. But then again, some people don't have no choice where they could live. So, you do the best you can. What we got going on here? Who else we got talking? Oh, let's see here. Scrappy says, damn, those are some big holes. Like a 45 made it. Yeah, they are some big ass holes. Like, some big holes, man. Yeah, absolutely. Bring that back up for you guys to take a look. No, I didn't have that. I was on the Twitter. Forget it. Sorry. Let's go back here. Make that big again. Okay, let's keep going. Mike did Gmail said, oh, she saw Mike did that Cosby. All right, let's go. Let's keep going. I want to play the family talking here. This is important here because the family's going to show some empathy for her. And I appreciate that, but I don't respect them because rather than they ask for answers for what happened to their loved one, which is perfectly normal, perfectly logical. Whether your son or your daughter's a perp or not, it doesn't matter. You have a right to ask what happened. The answer might validate why your loved one died, or maybe it might ask more questions. Who knows? But you have a right to ask. The problem is when the mother is sitting there purposely saying that this is racism to fan those flames. Now think about it. It's one thing when you have a black person saying that it's racism. It's another thing when you have a Caucasian person who raised a black child saying it's racism. It's almost like it has even more weight than if a black person says it, because there's so many people out there who say, well, black people always say it's racism, so I'm not going to listen. But when you have a white person saying that it's racism, it holds more weight. This woman is playing a dangerous game, inflaming these folks over nothing. Because I'm going to tell you right now, this investigation they're going to do is going to end in nothing. Those officers are going to be exonerated, and a year from now, they're going to put in for departmental medals, and they're going to win it. Why? Because this guy was an active shooter. As you guys said in the chat, I agree with you. I'm surprised I didn't think about it myself. He was an active shooter who put little children in harm's way in fear of losing their lives, put a mother in fear of losing her life as well. So let's listen to the parents.
Americans across this country who experience mental health crises. We can do both things. We can
That's the lawyer. This is the mother. This is the father.
feel terribly for this woman, but also remember that Tekle should be here with us and he should be alive, and we can ask the Minneapolis Police Department to do better so we don't have even more grieving families. But you know, Mark and Cindy and their family fully recognize how emotional this is, and that just shouldn't be lost on anyone. Do you want to add?
My heart goes out for that woman. She went through a very traumatic event with those bullets coming through her house. That'll affect her for the rest of her life. It'll affect her children for the rest of their life. And I am so sorry it happened. It is two different incidences. It's the shots going through her house, and what we're here for is when Tekle was shot by the Minneapolis Police and died. And I hope that we can support her. I mean, she is in great pain. It's obvious she's in great pain. She had the courage to come down here and speak her mind, and she has every right to do that. And
I want to stop them there. This lady did not come down there to speak her mind. You guys came to her space to speak your mind. That's her home. She lives there. And now you got over 100 people out there screaming Tekle's name, ignoring the people that he put in danger, which by extension is not just her. Those bullets could have killed other neighbors as well. It just so happened he was just trying to kill her. But you're in her space, and I think they're going to acknowledge that. So let's keep going.
I don't know what else to say, but God be with her. Thanks.
I wish I could wrap my arms around her and tell her I am so sorry. I am so sorry she had to experience that. I am so sorry for her pain. And I just grieve for her also. And know that Tekle is an imperfect human, as we're all imperfect humans. And he did not deserve to be picked off like an animal from a rooftop. He deserved to be able to address this with her and face what he needed if that was true. I don't know.
Justice with her, as though they both would be enjoying justice. The only person who would be getting justice is her, because he would be doing like 15 years in prison for attempted murder. Reckless endangerment, firing a weapon, unlawful use of a firearm, stolen guns. I heard that the guns are illegal too, by the way. Like, this guy tried to kill this woman, but let's keep going.
But he doesn't deserve to be dead. And I feel my heart breaks for her and her pain. And she lived here. This is her space. If we would have known that she was still living here, we would never, ever. We did not know any of this. We would not ever have subjected her to this.
So basically what you're saying is you opened up a can of worms that you now understand you can't close. Those people are here because of you. Those people are here because you stood in Benjamin Crump's office. Yes, that family's now being represented by Benjamin Crump. You stood in Benjamin Crump's office and you said that the only reason why he was killed is because he's a black man. And if one of your biological white children was in his place, they would have gotten your biological white children out of that situation without shooting him. That's what you said. You now opened up this can of worms where now these folks are screaming, say his name, and berating her for being a victim. They're upset with her for being a victim and standing up for herself and speaking out against the fact that apparently now, as they're saying in the chat, criminals have privilege. Let's keep going.
I'm so sorry.
Shut it down!
Can we prefer going by?
Shut it down!
So, Attorney Jeff Stone, SRMS. That was Mark Sundberg, MARK, SUNDBERG, CINDY. He did prefer to go by Tekle. Everyone knew was Tekle.
Shut it down! Did he prefer Beyonce or Sundberg?
I don't know his own personal
Shut it down!
And to the extent that
Shut it down!
Over time.
Shut it down!
They did. I know he went by both names.
Black lives! Black lives!
8 other siblings. Yeah. So he comes from a very large family. This is obviously highly emotional. And the one thing I would like to point out is, a group of civilians did just de-escalate the situation. So let's think about what else could be done to de-escalate the situation on July 14th.
So this idiot is saying, I mean, I swear to God, I should have just went to school to be an attorney, man, because I got to really deal with people on a daily basis and put my life on the line while doing that. And these attorneys, they literally get paid to just spout the first bullshit that comes on the top of their head. And it is called professional, literally. And I respect attorneys, even the ones that represent people who are bad people, because defense attorneys are in the Constitution, not prosecutors. You have a constitutional right to a defense attorney. You don't have a constitutional right to a prosecution. They assumed that a prosecutor would be a given in our society, so they didn't feel like they needed to make mention of it. But the framers of this Constitution stated specifically that you need a defense attorney, that they should exist. Just like they specifically said a corporate entity should exist called the media, a free press. They specifically said that you need to have this private organizations called a press to keep our government in check. Now, it's not working lately, but it's in the Constitution. This guy pointed out the fact that civilians de-escalated this traumatized woman who was screaming about the fact that they're pontificating this mentally ill man who tried to kill her a few nights before. And he's saying, I'm wondering what those people could have did if they were the ones negotiating with Tekle, who was armed with 2 guns and an extended clip and hundreds of rounds of bullets. Even though the cops, we have 6 hours of negotiation, the cops brought his parents in, they brought mental health people in, they brought a crisis intervention team, they brought everybody that they could possibly find that Tekle knew or who was a professional trained to deal with people who's dealing with his situation to try and save this man's life and get him to turn himself in, and it still didn't work. But this attorney think that these BLM street protester dudes would have the wherewithal and the knowledge and more familiar kin to Tekle than his own family, and they would be able to get him to surrender peacefully. Make it make sense, ladies and gentlemen. Make it freaking make sense. Let's keep going.
Thank you. We have not heard from the mayor at this point.
I hope she can hear me too.
We have made a request, and my understanding is that we will see something by early next week, but I have no hard promises made, and not a great understanding of why it is we didn't get information quicker. I got some explanation, but it just seems to me that when there's information that suits the narrative of the city, we hear it a lot quicker than this.
Any more information about what
I am so sorry that this happened.
Because I know it's just been police shot.
That's a big question mark, right? When we look at the report, it's highly ambiguous and it's vague, and it's almost written in it's written in a passive sense, as if this just happened, right? And these things don't happen. People take action. People take active affirmative steps, and we were told none of those active affirmative steps. And so at this point, no one has any idea, as far as I know. I'm assuming there's a significant amount of video that exists. It's just not being shared with any of us at this point. Thank you, everyone.
All right, so I'm being told in the chat that his GoFundMe is triple hers. Now, the first time I looked at that, well, I looked at it like an article about his GoFundMe. It was like $4,000, and I thought that I really had hope. I'm looking for the GoFundMe now. I can't find it. I really had hope. In the world. No, see, his GoFundMe is still very low. So my hope continues. So I'm gonna bring the GoFundMe over here. This is his GoFundMe. His is at 19,000. Hers is almost at 50,000. Because it's like, I don't know. He might have multiple GoFundMes though. That's possible. But this is the first one that comes up. This is the first one that comes up. So I think this might be the official GoFundMe. So yeah. So this is 19,000 and hers is like almost 50,000, and I suspect that as this story gains more traction, she might walk away with like $150,000. She deserves it. She deserves it. You know, we gave like $200,000 to a woman who didn't have childcare. I mean, her story's kind of messed up. Like a baby father, she left her kids in a hotel by herself. She shouldn't have. She was wrong for that. But her baby father, who's a deadbeat dad, who was mad that she didn't want to be with him anymore, she left the kids in there so she could go work. And the cops came and arrested her and all that stuff. And it came out that this woman's just working to feed these kids, man. And the hotel was like a homeless shelter, and she had nobody to watch the children. And she called the baby father and said, "Listen, please watch your kids so I could go work to feed them." And he said, "F you. If I can't have you, I'm not watching them." And then because he knew that she went to work and that the kids were by themselves, he decided to call the cops to spite her. And then when the cops were trying to place the kids with him, he's like, "I don't want them." So when the world heard about that, they're like, "Oh, screw this guy. She was wrong for what she did, but she was desperate." They gave her like $500,000, and she deserved it. And I even donated to that GoFundMe. So if this woman who got shot at through her walls by this dude, Mr. Tekle, if this woman, if the world wants to give her $150,000, I'm here for it. She deserves it because this guy traumatized her. Let me see. I'm gonna get her GoFundMe back up. There we go. 43,000, twice his. A lady says she remember that story. And this lady lost her job too. So when you look at 43, that's not really a lot of money. Now I know the cost of living is much lower in Minneapolis area, but she was at least making $20,000 at least. I mean, at least she could have made way less, but I'd imagine she's working a lot in a low level job. She's making at least 20,000. So half of that money is her salary that she would make. Her kids are traumatized. Do we really want her to have to work for the next 6 months? So I would dare say, please give to her GoFundMe. I don't have much money. I'm running really low on cash. I'm gonna give her $10. If I could give more, you guys know Strategic is very generous. If I could give more, I'd do it. But I'm gonna give her $10. You know what I'm saying? It's terrible. Gmail account, the cost of living here, she said cost of living here is very expensive. She said she was renting a room for $800. That's crazy because that's New York City prices for a room in the hood. I mean, of course, you go to Midtown, you go to the rich parts, it's going to be much higher. But that's crazy because that's what it costs to live in the outer boroughs in a room in New York City, $800. That's bananas that Minneapolis is, the cost of living is so high over there. But Alabaster said, okay, it's different. Earlier today, he was at 15,000 and gained 5,000. Scrappy said, dude, kids need to go back to utilities, but it was kids need to go back to utilities as fast as possible. The chat keep moving, so I can't read it. I'll put it up here. He said, dude, kids need to go back to normal as fast as possible. Yeah, absolutely. They need and then Gmail account said Everything was included, all utilities, but it was a shitty block of Lake Street that just got burned down. I'm sorry to hear that. And Stephanie says, why would anyone help out a shooter? Because these people are deranged. That's why, Stephanie. Because they have no morals. Because they have goggles on that only sees the world through racial eyes. Because they're being programmed by TV, by media, that every time the police have an interaction with a black man, it's racism. And if you truly believe these things, you truly believe that this is a racist country, you truly believe that the policies in this country in 2022 mirror the policies that we had in 1895, 1900, 1950, 1960. If you truly believe that this is that same country, you're going to fight like hell. You're going to accept these flawed stories, these flawed victims, and you're going to elevate them and you're going to fight. That's the problem. The problem is that we're breeding these revolutionary people, and it's only a matter of time till we start seeing true violence coming out of these sectors. Terrorist actions, etc. We're literally breeding supremacy. Or rather, not supremacy. That's the wrong word. Revolutionaries. Revolutionaries. That's what we're breeding. A lady said, I thought the shooter was dead. He's alive. No, he's dead. Does this GoFundMe say that he's alive? Let's take a look. Let's go back to the GoFundMe. It says, Tech, 20-year-old, a brother, uncle, son, friend, talented artist, hilarious, energetic human being. His life was taken too soon by the Minneapolis Police Department. Telke was killed on the morning of his mother's birthday. He leaves behind many loving family members and friends. And so sad that his death happened on his mother's birthday, but it's not like the police kind of had a choice. Funds will go toward funeral expenses, food, and helping the youngest siblings in the family. Please gather around the amazing Sundberg family during this tragic time. Organized by Marie Larson, friends of the family, other people. And that's what they had to say about his. Let's read his victims GoFundMe. So you just heard the family's GoFundMe. Let's read the victims GoFundMe. Let's see if there's the differences in tone. Hi, everyone. I'm raising money for my younger sister, Arabella Foss-Yarbrough, and her two young boys, ages 4 and 2. After learning her job terminated her today, she spent hours the prior night behind police, holding her small children tightly after narrowly escaped in her apartment as her neighbor, who lived across the hall, stalked her movement through the hall and opened gunfire in her apartment. He had been harassing her and stalking her for months. The 6-hour standoff with the man and the MPD ultimately ended in his death on July 14, 2022. Her apartment is a crime scene. She is not allowed to retrieve anything, even with a police escort. She now has no job, no identification, wallet, clothes for herself or children. My little sister is strong, but she is breaking and needs more help than our family can provide at this time. So I'm reaching out to the community. Anything would be helpful, or anything would help, so she can at least cover her standing bills while she gains new employment and focuses on her and the boys' mental and emotional health. It's a big difference there, huh? Big difference. Let's play the warrant, and then let's get the hell out of here.
On one call that started the standoff.
Only on WCCO, Jennifer Merrily spoke with a woman who was inside her apartment with her kids when bullets pierced the walls.
And this is above my bed.
Arabella Yarbrough shares the sheer terror she says she and her two young boys felt Wednesday night.
I heard another bang and my ear started ringing. I turned to the left and there was a bullet hole through my kitchen.
She and her sons laid on the ground as they waited for police to arrive, saying she feared for her life as she let officers into the building.
As I am going, there's debris and like bullets going back and forth, and I'm going to open the metal door that's locked so the police can get to us.
You see that? You see her door? You see all of those bullets through that door? But Strategic Eye is supposed to sit here and feel sorry for this man Tekle. I'm supposed to sit here and feel sorry for this man Tekle and forget about the fact that there's a woman who's the mother of 2 children behind that door who has to lived through this experience and was subjected to this experience. You see that door. But we're supposed to feel sorry for Tekle because he had a mental breakdown. Because he was having a hard time. His mental breakdown didn't make him go after management. His mental breakdown didn't make him go after the neighbor next door. His mental breakdown didn't make him shoot in the ceiling. His mental breakdown didn't make him shoot in the ground. His mental breakdown allegedly only made him go after the person that he has been stalking and harassing and beefing and feuding with for months. If Strategic Eyes was there, I'd probably be perfectly fine. If any of you in the chat was walking past this guy, he probably stopped shooting and let you walk past. He was trying to kill this woman. He wanted her dead. And let's not forget that in the process of wanting her dead, she had 2 young children in there that he could have killed as well. Maybe he wanted them dead too. Let's keep going.
In my actual apartment.
A 6-hour standoff with neighbor 20-year-old Tekle Sundberg followed. Yarbrough watched from afar.
They were yelling his name on an intercom. They were trying to have him come out. He refused to come out. He was hanging out the window.
According to search warrants filed, 2 Minneapolis Police SWAT snipers shot Sundberg. We're told he died at the hospital. After the standoff was over, it says BCA agents saw multiple live and spent rounds outside Sundberg's apartment and multiple apparent bullet holes in walls. The document shows investigators recovered a loaded pistol with an extended magazine and cartridges in Sundberg's apartment. Friends of Sundberg's family stopped by a memorial outside the apartment complex.
Just as a parent, I just can't imagine the grief that the family has to deal with at another senseless killing happened.
A page to raise funds for Sundberg's funeral calls him a brother, friend, uncle, and son, saying he was a...
Yeah, I don't mean to be petty. I wouldn't do it because the mother literally is placing that memorial there. But if I'm the property manager and that mother wasn't there and she wasn't the one that set up that memorial, come nighttime, trash. Trash. Now, because the mother laid flowers, the mother lighted a candle, I would show her the utmost of respect, and I wouldn't do that. This man does not deserve any of this. He deserves for his family to privately mourn him. They have every right to mourn him. He should be mourned by them because they loved him. He does not deserve to get more reverence than the victims that he was trying to kill that night.
Talented artists, calling him hilarious and energetic. Yarbrough says she hopes people take into account the gravity of the entire situation, how it unfolded, and why she feels the police opened fire.
But that right there, they did their job and they took their time.
Wow.
Now, the search warrant also noted
Somebody
less
got
lethal
sense.
rounds were collected on scene. We're waiting to learn if and when those rounds were fired. Attorneys Ben Crump and Jeff Storms are representing Sundberg's family. They also represent the family of George Floyd, among others. Amelia.
Miss him, man. I'm very disappointed in this one, man. Very, very, very disappointed. I think we could have done better as a society. And I think that these BLM folks, they're digging themselves into a hole. They're going to lose all the support that they think that they deserve. I guess let's do this last one. Let's call it a day.
The shot went through my door to the pillar to the kitchen. I was cooking food for my kids. He's dead now, so that can't happen. They shouldn't know. It doesn't matter. He shouldn't have been dead. Y'all should have came and helped him when he was alive.
Yeah, a lot of anger and frustration from the mother who lived next door to Tekle Sundberg. An emotional evening as Arabella Yarbrough recounts the night of the hours-long standoff at her Minneapolis apartment complex. That 6-hour standoff Thursday morning ending with police shooting Tekle Sundberg multiple times, killing him. Today, community members gathered for a protest against police violence. Mary McGuire joins us now, and Mary, tensions running very high as family remembers the man who was killed.
And Karen, as you heard, there some powerful and very contentious moments at that rally for Tekle Sundberg, who was shot and killed by Minneapolis police early Thursday morning. Now, this afternoon, just as the protest was starting to get underway against police violence, the woman who lived in the apartment directly next door to Tekle showed up. Her name is Arabella Yarbrough, and she says she was cooking dinner for her 2 young children on Wednesday night when bullets began flying through her walls. She shared these photos of the aftermath of the shooting with us that show multiple bullet holes through her front door and through her bathroom wall. She confronted the family of Tekle, saying she had 5 minutes to live while Tekle had 6 hours to choose life or death.
That man was armed. George Floyd was not armed. Breonna Taylor was not armed. Amir Lockett, he was armed and he had his own guns, but they came into his home while he's licensed to carry and killed him. He did not shoot fire. This man intentionally tried to kill.
Now, you notice she has all of these cases down packed. This woman is one of those folks that would have been marching with BLM. That's a fact. But now she's a victim. Now she sees the light. See, this is why I try and look at both sides on everything. I don't hate BLM just because I want to hate them. They proved to me that they're a fraudulent organization. Like I always say, I supported them when they first came out until I realized that they didn't like fathers. They were communists. And, you know, Republicans will say, oh, they're communists. And I'm like, yo, these motherfuckers is just hating, man. Until I read their manifesto. I literally went on their webpage before they scrubbed it. I clicked about, mission statement, and it literally said we're communists and we're about abolishing the nuclear family and making a safe space for mothers and children and the village to raise families with mothers and children. Nothing about black men, nothing about fathers in general, regardless of whatever race. And then I was like, well, hold on here. Why are they not talking about black men? And all they're doing is out there marching over black men that get shot. But in their mission statement, they say nothing about black men. And then I was like, well, who are the founders of this? And I look at the founders and I realize, oh my God, these women don't even like men. There's no knock on them because of their sexuality, but they don't like men. They don't like men. And then their mission statement has nothing to do with men. And I'm like, this is not for me. And then I move on and I say, you know what? I don't like their mission statement, so I can't support them because I don't support communism and I don't support, the abolishing of the nuclear family. And then as I'm patiently doing my research, I'm starting to realize, well, what are they doing with all this money? And then it comes out and we realize that they're buying mansions and she's giving her brother almost $1 million to do security. She's giving her baby's father almost $1 million to do graphic design, and make t-shirts. I realized this was a money grab. This woman, she was one of those folks who would be out there marching with BLM, but now she sees the light because now she gets to feel the wrath of being on the other side. She's a bona fide victim, but they don't give a damn because they can't make money off of her. They can make money off of Telke, but they can't make money off of her because she's alive and she's not a black man. Let's keep going.
We can feel terribly for this woman, but also remember that Tekle should be here with us and he should be alive, and we can ask the Minneapolis Police.
Let me just address this real quick. YouTube Street says that's hard to believe because all they do is march for black men. Yes, because they can make money off of the bodies of dead black men. But like I said, you don't have to believe me. The people have archived this. You can go on the internet and you can type in BLM's original mission statement or something to that effect. Look at it with your own eyes. There's one thing I say with the Strategic Eye Show. I'm just a regular guy with a mic. I'm not Walter Cronkite. I'm not the Encyclopedia Britannica. I'm not MSNBC. I'm not CNN. I'm not Fox News. I don't have 1 billion people working for me with $100 million budget. Do your own research. You read the mission statement and it says nothing about black men. It's everything about communism and abolishing the nuclear family. The nuclear family, ladies and gentlemen, is a mother and a father and children. Now, I have no problem with any variations of that. I have no problem with 2 dads, 2 moms. I'm not one of those guys. I don't give a damn. As long as that child is safe. As long as that child is safe and not being abused, I don't give a damn. And I've seen a whole lot of heterosexual couples abuse and mistreat their children. So if 2 men and 2 women are going to keep a child safe, I'm with it. I'm with it. But I'm not for any organization that's actually striving to abolish the nuclear family, not live with the nuclear family, not live alongside the nuclear family, not create other types of families along with the nuclear family. No, abolish the nuclear family. Make it no more. I can't support an organization that's going to say that that's their mission statement. And once again, if you don't believe me, use those Twitter fingers, type into Google, and do your research. Let's go.
Department to do better.
Now, that was Jeff Storms, the attorney for the Sundberg family. Sundberg's parents were also at this protest. They adopted Tekle from Ethiopia when he was just 4 years old. They also expressed their remorse for everything that Yarbrough experienced on the night of the standoff. They say the shooting through her apartment walls and the killing of their son are 2 separate incidents that should have been handled in very different ways. Now, attorney Jeff Storms says that he has requested that the family of Tekle view any body camera video that perhaps was caught the night of the shooting. The city attorney's office says that they are pouring through all of that footage now and that it will be shown to the family before it is released to the public. We still don't have a timeline on when that could all happen. Reporting live in Minneapolis tonight, Mary McGuire, Fox 9.
All right.
And thanks for joining us here at 6.
Let's get that out of there. All right, well, let's play. Who cares?
New video from neighbors giving us a glimpse into what led up to a deadly police shooting overnight in Minneapolis.
This unfolded after a 6-hour standoff at an apartment that all started around 9:30 last night. Fox 9's Mary McGuire live for us near the scene. So, Mary, what are these neighbors saying?
Well, it's been more than 20 hours since authorities were initially called to this scene in the Seward neighborhood of Minneapolis, and residents are still not being allowed back into the apartment building where this all happened. You can see investigators with the BCA are still here collecting evidence. Behind me, there is the window on the 3rd floor that neighbors say a man was sticking out of before he was shot and killed.
The window, pick up your cell phone.
This dude's bugging.
We can have a conversation.
You guys see that? Like, this guy he's standing outside of the window, full standing. It's like standing outside. He's bugging. It's nuts. Let's keep going.
Video obtained by Fox 9 shows the moments leading up to a deadly police shooting in Minneapolis. In it, you can see a man hanging out of a 3rd floor window as police try and negotiate with him.
The police keep coming, keep coming.
Residents in the Seward neighborhood of Minneapolis are still shaken.
I don't feel safe walking to school, and I don't feel safe in my own neighborhood.
Police were initially called to the building on the 900 block of 21st Avenue South around 9:30 on Wednesday night after a woman called 911 saying a man was shooting into her apartment.
As officers arrived on the 3rd floor, they heard additional shots. Officers also saw debris exploding from walls as more shots were fired. Officers called for backup and worked to rescue the mother and her 2 children out of the building to safety.
Over the course of 6 hours, police say they tried to negotiate with him using a variety of tactics.
These negotiation attempts included identifying and calling the man's phone, bringing his parents to the scene, providing communications from his parents in the form of phone calls, voicemails, and video messages. And officers also attempted numerous times using loudspeakers to instruct the male to exit the apartment with his hands up.
Early Thursday morning, officers fired at the man, who was rushed to the hospital where he died. Authorities haven't said exactly what prompted police to shoot. Now, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, we have learned, is in Washington, D.C. right now, but he did issue a statement about this incident. He shared his condolences with the family of the man who was shot, saying that this is not the outcome that anyone wanted. He also expressed his gratitude to
This lady's makeup is perfect. Look at it. It's like Stella. Let's keep
PD
going.
officers and crisis negotiators who worked with his family members throughout the night. Reporting live, Mary McGuire, Fox 9.
The cops did everything they could do, ladies and gentlemen. They did everything they could do. They did everything. They brought his parents there, man. This is not, like this young lady said, this is not George Floyd. This is not any of those cases that happened. This man proved his murderous intent by trying to off his next door neighbor and her children. He was not successful. The police negotiated. The police did everything that they could do to try and de-escalate this. He made the choice. Maybe he made it while being deranged. Maybe he was high. I mean, look at the pictures that we have, the picture I've showed you. You know, one of the issues with marijuana is that it could be just as bad, in my opinion, as crack, heroin, LSD, whatever. Why? Because so many people put chemicals and other things in marijuana. Marijuana by itself, I assume, because I never used it and never will, marijuana by itself is probably a very benign, fun thing to do. I don't know. I'm not interested. I don't want to put no substances in my body but a ice cold beer. And even when it comes to alcohol, I don't have any desire to get drunk. I have no desire to get drunk. Why? So I could feel like ish the next day? I don't use anything to escape my worries, my pains, my sorrows, my stressors, because guess what? I'd rather solve those sorrows, solve those worries, solve those stressors so that they don't bother me tomorrow. You get high, you use drugs, you drink, all this crap, you still fucked up tomorrow. Your life is still screwed up tomorrow. Nothing changes. I'd rather confront life head on. But I don't blame anybody, and I don't look down on you if you like to use drugs, smoke weed, drink alcohol, whatever. That's your business. But look at this guy. He looked like he was tripping. It's either he is a manic depressive and he was manic at the moment. He was on the high of the highest, tripping off of his own brain chemicals, or this guy was high on some type of drug. Should this guy have died? Nobody should ever die. Nobody should ever die. But when you put police in a position where they have to choose between you, the aggressor, and innocent people, you can't get mad when they choose innocence. You saw the pictures. You saw the battleground that this woman had to survive. You saw Fallujah showcased in a Minneapolis apartment on the West Bank. As Gmail account says, a terrible neighborhood. The police had to choose. Allow this man to put other people's lives in danger or neutralize the threat. Whether this man was high, mentally ill, deranged, whatever. They did everything they could. His parents didn't work. Professional crisis negotiators didn't work. SWAT negotiators didn't work. Mental health clinicians didn't work. Didn't work. The police did what they had to do. I'm so proud of this woman for standing up for herself. I'm so proud of this woman for being one person against many. She's like a Spartan, man. She's my freaking hero. This woman single-handedly disarmed hundreds of protesters with nothing but facts, with nothing but the truth. Go to her page, donate to her GoFundMe. And when you do it, do me a favor. Let her know Strategic Eyes sent you. This woman is a hero. I hope that she uses this opportunity and this money that she's going to get. I hope she uses it to do right by her children, to do right by herself. I hope she relocates out of Minneapolis, moves somewhere down south simply because the houses are cheaper. Buy your house outright. There are places in down south you can get a decent house for $30,000. Take that $30,000 out of this 40-something and go buy a house so that you never have to worry about having a home for your children ever again. I hope that she gets at least $100,000 that could change her life. Get her out of Minneapolis and give her a new leaf on life, a new opportunity to do something wonderful for herself and for her children. Because regardless of whether she's a good mother now, we don't know nothing about this woman. When her children's lives were in danger, she did what she had to do to save them, and I commend her for it. And when these folks came down and descended upon her home, her neighborhood, her apartment complex, she had the courage to stand up for herself, and I commend her for it. I hope you guys learned something today. I hope we shared a moment today, guys, because I certainly feel like I had a moment watching her and watching these different news articles. Guys, this is the time where I ask you to please hit that like button. Hit that like button, support the channel by hitting that like button. It's also the time where I ask any of you who are just viewing this just in happenstance, you just came on the channel and you just, all right, let me listen to what this guy got to say. This is the moment where I ask you please hit that subscribe button. And lastly, for those of you who've been watching me for a while, if you want to donate to the channel, we do need the donations. It helps us. It helps this channel stay alive. You can Cash App, scroll on the bottom of the screen. You can PayPal. You can join the Patreon. You can also consider becoming a Strategic Eyes member by hitting that join button right next to my name below the video. The lowest tier is $3.99 a month. That's $4 and change with tax. I think it's like $4.15 or something, $4.08. I don't know, something to that effect. And you can definitely support the channel that way. That's about it, guys. That's all I got for you. We had a late one today. It's 2:20 in the morning. Jesus Christ, where I'm at least. And so I commend every single one of you guys who actually stuck around with me for a while. You guys are awesome. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. And I hope you guys have a great day. Other than that, I see Beyond the Badge came through, showed that love. Appreciate you, man. Other than that, Strategic is out of here. Peace.